Hey, this is John Lee Dumas of the award-winning podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire, and you're listening to the Excelsior Journeys with George Soroy, presented by the Right Pack Radio Podcasting Network. Prepare to ignite.
Is there a burning desire within to share your creativity with the rest of the world? Do you insist on pursuing your passion by any means necessary? Then you are on an Excelsior journey, and you are not alone. Welcome to Excelsior Journeys. I'm George Soroy. This is episode 3. Hope you guys have been having a whole lot of fun listening to the different discussions that I've had with some really great creative people. Just a few weeks ago, I was honored to be a part of PenCon, which is a wonderful authors and readers convention that takes place in downtown St. Louis. They just celebrated their 5th anniversary, and they give all proceeds of the convention to Action for Autism. They've already raised thousands upon thousands of dollars for this great organization, and I am so honored to be a part of it, not only this year, but also last year and next year. I will be there in 2019, so I look forward to seeing you there. At this particular PenCon, I got to chat with USA Today bestselling authors Lynn and Bryan. This was a whole lot of fun to chat with them, especially considering the fact that I've known them for a few years at this point and only now got to meet them in person. So it was a really great experience all around that weekend. Just so you know, the audio quality sounds a little bit different, but that's basically because I couldn't bring this entire setup with me over to PenCon. So I was doing all of the recording on my laptop with my little Samsung microphone. Just wanted to let you know it should not interfere with your enjoyment of the discussion. After listening to it, I was able to understand everything that was said. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this interview. I hope you are taking the time to hopefully subscribe to the show, and I look forward to getting your feedback. You can reach me via email. You can reach me on the Podbean homepage for this show. I really hope that you guys enjoy this conversation. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll jump right into it. See you in a bit.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. If you've never been an Audible customer and want to see what they offer, just go to www.audibletrial.com/Excelsior Journeys and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title for free and start listening. It's that easy. Why Audible? Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. And with this free 30-day trial, you'll have your pick of it all. You can hear books of all genres narrated by Jim Dale, Stephen Fry, Will Patton, Alex Hyde White, Jeff Brick, Neil Shaw, William Demerit, and even a few by me, George Soroy. So go to www.audibletrial.com/Excelsior Journeys and start your own 30-day journey with Audible today. Welcome back to Excelsior Journeys. My name is George Soroy. When you are an author online, you tend to hear a lot of really horrible stories about different writers that seem to undermine each other in order to get ahead, seeing a lot of different authors kind of sick their fan base on other writers, putting terrible reviews on Amazon, putting even worse reviews on Goodreads, which has become kind of a cesspool of negativity. But you never hear about the really good positive stories about authors reaching out to each other, collaborating, and putting together something really special. And thankfully for this episode this week, we have 2 authors that have actually met each other through Goodreads. We're able to kind of swim through that muck, find each other, realize that they had a very special connection, and go ahead and create something really special as a partnership. So it is my pleasure for this very special episode coming from PennCon 2018. It's my pleasure to introduce two authors that have come together on a very special project, found a great connection, and are actually meeting each other live in person for the first time at this event. They have gone on to not only collaborate on a project, but actually reach USA Today bestselling author status. So it's my pleasure to introduce our two authors for this episode, Michelle Lynn and Michelle Bryan. How you guys doing today?
Doing great. We're happy to be here. We're excited to be at PennCon and excited to be sitting here with you doing the interview.
Yes, and finally excited to meet each other in person.
Yeah, that's been great.
Yeah,
and for me to meet both of you in person too, which has been great because we've known each other for quite a while through the authors community on Facebook. And in fact, Michelle Bryan and I are fellow authors under the Loris Publishing banner. So how has that experience been for you since you came aboard?
Oh, it's wonderful. Jeff is amazing. I would recommend that publishing company. I had a really bad experience with my first publishing company, so this is totally amazing. I'm so happy.
And we won't ask which publishing company that was. We're not about throwing anyone under the bus.
Names.
We're all about giving really good, positive, like feedback and everything, and showing how positivity within the writing community can exist when it comes to these sort of things. So why don't we hear from both of you about what it was that inspired you to become writers in the first place? Whichever one wants to start.
All right, well, I guess Michelle, the other Michelle, is pointing to me to start. So Michelle Lynn here. And when I was about 23 years old, I've had an illness most of my life. And when I was about 23 years old, that illness got worse, and I became bedridden for about 6 months. My illness is called ataxia. It's usually what people want to know. And I couldn't get out of bed for 6 months, so I had a lot of time on my hands. And that's when I wrote my first book. I never planned on publishing it. I never planned on doing anything with it. I only even told one person, a friend of mine, that I even wrote a book, and she's the one who pushed me to publish it. And then I finally admitted to my family, I wrote a book, and I was embarrassed about it. I don't know why. It's, obviously not something to be embarrassed about. And they encouraged me to finish the series and write more, and there was no turning back after that. Once I started, the floodgates of ideas opened, and I just fell completely in love with the community and with the creative side of writing, and it's not something that you can escape easily.
And that series is?
That's the Dawn of Rebellion series. It's a young adult dystopian.
Awesome. And Michelle Bryan?
Well, I'm much older than my lovely writing partner. I have been writing for a long, long time, but I just wouldn't take the chance to put it out there. Same as you, I was a little embarrassed to say I write books. But I've always had the love for it. And about 6 years ago, I left my job, and I had a few months in between my new job, so I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to sit down and try and polish up something that I've worked on. And that turned out to be the New Blood series, which is actually signed with the publishing company.
A fantastic series.
And like Michelle said, from then on, there's been no turning back.
Awesome.
You love it, and you have to stay with it.
So I was talking about Goodreads before, and how we've all seen just how toxic that environment can be to writers. There are many stories of writers that just decided to throw in the towel and just walk away from writing altogether because of that kind of kind of feedback. So I don't even want to say feedback. It was basically just trolling, which is what it is. And so because of me saying that, I'm probably setting myself up to be attacked by those same Goodreads trolls. But at the same time, they're probably not listening anyway because this is all about positivity. Mm-hmm. With that in mind, tell us about the moment that you guys found each other.
We found each other through a community on Goodreads. Goodreads isn't just reviewing books. There are tons and tons of forums. It's a whole other side to Goodreads that a lot of people don't really get involved in. A whole bunch of forums, and where you can meet other authors and you can meet readers and actually talk to people instead of people talking at each other through negative reviews of books they didn't read. And let's be completely wide open here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a negative review. There is nothing wrong with reviewing a book poorly if you did not enjoy the book. there's only something wrong if you did not read said book, and you are giving these reviews and telling people not to read this book just because you feel like you are in competition with that author.
So at that forum, what happened then? You guys, just suddenly noticed each other's work or something?
I did. I noticed your book, and it was up my alley. It's something that I really thought I would enjoy reading. So I'm pretty sure I reached out to you and asked if I could read your book. And you didn't even know I was an author as well.
Yeah, I thought she was some crazy reviewer who was like, give me all the books. And so I sent her a book, and she gave me a 4-star review, so not even a 5-star review.
Yep. But that's actually something that a lot of people kind of look at. It was just like, oh, why didn't you give like the 5?
Yeah.
But as authors, we know just how valuable those middle reviews can be, like the 4-star, the 3 stars. They'll go into detail and talk about what it was that really connected with them and everything. There's so many different books that are out there. You'll see them all the time on Amazon that are littered with 5-star reviews and just like, loved it. Well, yeah, it was great. That does nothing. And it also winds up working against the book because there are so many people that have this. And then they'll go ahead and read it, and if they don't like it, then they'll think that every review is invalid because they were just, sent there by friends and family members.
And critical reviews are so helpful. Reviews are not an author's ego boost. That's not their purpose at all. They're, most reviews are not even for the authors at all. They're for other readers. Like, we shouldn't even be reading our reviews. We try not to sometimes, but the critical reviews can be so helpful because that's how you improve. You don't improve by people telling you what you do well. You improve by people telling you what you don't do well. And every single author should look to improve with every single book they write. If they're not getting better, then they should probably quit. Honestly, no one is perfect. There's always another level to get to, and you should always strive to make your book the best that you are capable of making it to be, and that level, that highest level, you should be pushing that up all the time, just constantly. And reviews really help you do that, just like editor critiques and beta reader critiques, all of that.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what this is all about. When I know that when my wife is looking for products on Amazon, she'll always, she'll never really regard those 5-star reviews because, she just feels that she's not going to get any sort of information from those. It's always those 4-star and down that she always, really pays attention to.
And the same goes on the other side of the scale, the 1-star reviews. You don't learn anything from the 1-star reviews. It's because there will always be a spectrum of there will always be people on each side of the spectrum, people that love it so much that they can't see anything wrong with it. Which there's always something wrong. The best-selling books in the world have something wrong with them. And then there, on the other side, you have the people that, either hate the author or hate the book or hate a topic in the book or have some visceral reaction to something in that book. And as a reader, you are probably not going to have that same reaction. So, the 1-stars aren't really that helpful either. It's the 3 stars, the 4 stars that really tell you if it's quality work.
Yeah. So that 4-star review. Tell us about.
I don't remember that.
But tell us about the moment when you were reading that book. Not the review itself, but like the actual when you finally got your hands on that book, when you sent out the request to read it. That request was granted, and you got to finally get into Michelle Lynn's work. So tell us about that moment.
I recall that I really enjoyed the book because I believe at 4-star is I really liked it. I think I liked it. I did like it so much that I asked you for the others. But like you said, no book is perfect, and this was your first work.
Yeah, it was my roughest work.
Yeah, so there were a few issues, and that is one of the things that I tell someone when they ask me what's your best piece of advice. It's you can't please everyone.
Yeah.
And you just went through that. Someone's going to pick something out of the book that really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it it was so good, it made me fall in love with her work. So, I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
But George, I'm old. I don't remember what I wrote 6 years ago.
And, you know, I didn't know she was an author at the time. I just thought she was a reader. So when I found out that she had a book too, I was like, oh, you know, I know her. I have to read her book.
There you go.
And so then, you know, it was after that, it was no turning back. You know, we were reading everything each other wrote. And, you know, we were reading it before they were being published. And
So you became each other's beta readers,
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
we did. Yeah.
That's awesome.
yeah, it's great. And, you know, it kept going from there. We both spread into completely different genres.
Yes.
Mhm.
She went the post-apocalyptic alien invasion route, and I went contemporary romance.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Oh, wow.
we
Considering we both started with dystopian.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
both started with dystopian. And
What made you make that hard right turn? You know, like,
my third dystopian book was a really heavy book. It took me a year to write it. Each of my first 3 books took me a year. After that, now I write, you know, 7 books a year, 8
What?
books a year. Yeah. But each of my first 3 books took me a really long time. And my third book was really heavy emotionally.
Mhm.
And so afterwards, I tried to write, you know, so many different things, and I tried to stay in the same genre, and I'm like, maybe I only have one series in me, you know, maybe. And then I was like, no, I'm going to try something completely different. And I went, contemporary romance is, it's not, I won't say it's easy to write, because a lot of people write it, but it's light. Yeah, there is, you know, some emotion in it, but you're not like sinking into these battle scenes and these deaths, and you're not walking away from a writing day with this heavy weight on your shoulders.
Mhm.
And it's faster. You can write it so much quicker, and you can write them shorter, and so it kind of revitalized my creativity.
Mhm.
And you know, so after that series, I was able to get back into fantasy.
nice. So it was just like the perfect little kind of shot in the arm and everything, just by getting yourself surrounded by a totally different kind of environment.
Yeah, and I still do that now. I switch back and forth between contemporary and fantasy. So, you know, I'm writing a fantasy series right now that's starting to release soon, and I just finished another fantasy series, but my next series is contemporary.
Oh, cool.
She's a machine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
she is.
7 a year.
About that.
Don't be don't be bashful about that. That's amazing. Like
She
that
is a
is.
machine. When we started writing together,
Yeah.
she would message me and say, "Hey, I wrote this chapter this morning. Here's your chapter. Now it's your turn." I'm like, "You wrote it this morning?"
Oh man. This is my envious face, because like, it took 5 years for me to write Ever Upward.
Well, Ever
So-
Upward is a long book.
It is. You know, like yeah, it is.
Yeah, I
It's
read
just-
that one. That's a long book.
You read that one? Awesome.
Yeah, that's the first one, right?
That's the second one.
Oh, okay. No, I've read the first one. I
Excelsior.
I haven't gotten into the second one yet,
Okay.
but I've read the first one.
Yeah, but you've seen how big the second one
Yeah.
is. Yeah, the second one, and the great thing was is that like both of those stories, like they've been in my head for like roughly 25 years.
Yeah.
And so what's really going to be interesting about this third book is that I've only had just like a basic outline of the skeleton of that story in my head for this whole time. So much of what's going to be in this one is going to be brand new.
Oh,
to
that's
me.
great.
So I am
That's
a little.
exciting.
It's exciting, and I'm a little freaked out by it because there was so much that was gestating with books 1 and 2,
Yeah.
and now it's just like, okay, book 3 is going to tie the whole thing
The
up.
final book in a series is always the most daunting.
Yeah, exactly. So how many series do you both have?
I have 2 of my own. So
Mhm.
I have 2 completed series,
Yeah.
trilogies, and the one that I co-wrote with Michelle. So I have 9 books. 6, yes. I'm like,
Wow.
I have 3. I can't count. 3 completed series, and so 9 books, and then a series with her. So 4 completed series, and then I have a full series that's releasing all 3 books in October.
Wow. All 3 books in
Yeah,
October.
she's got them all ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm actually selling them here. The people at PenCon here get to buy the paperbacks before they're released.
That's brilliant. That is
So
brilliant.
it's-
And how has that been so far?
It's been great. the beginning of day 2, and I have 1 copy of the first one left and no copies of the second
Awesome.
and third.
That is awesome.
It's been a bit crazy, and I have high hopes for this series. So it's
I would think so.
good.
Like considering that you basically just got yourself a really good handful of early reviews, which is that's like gold.
Yeah,
for
the
authors.
series has been it's been really, really difficult because the first book's been done for over a year.
Right.
The third book's been done since January, and they've been going through my editor, and since the beginning of July, all 3 books have been going through my advanced review team and stuff like that. And so it's been this really, really slow, because I'm preparing for a rapid release, and it's been really hard to hold everything back. And I got the covers back in December, and they're beautiful, and I couldn't show them until June. It's like the ultimate test of willpower.
So let's see. So let's kind of fill in our audience a little bit with, since you mentioned your team. Each of you talk a little bit about your team. Because I know that I have, obviously I have Jeff in my corner as my publisher. By this time, it'll be common knowledge that I have Amy Brewer and Patty Carruthers in my corner as my new literary agents. And, through PenCon, I can say this is as of yesterday. So, and thank you.
That's awesome.
And I have Molly Phipps, M.A. Phipps, to her fans as my cover artist, who's kind of a genius. You know this,
Yes.
Michelle, Bryan.
She's very talented.
Obviously, I have Rebecca J. Cox as my content editor, who has been just an absolute dream to work with, both Excelsior and Ever Upward, the versions that they are now, especially Excelsior, because Excelsior went through 3 iterations, with this one, the Aloris version, being the 3rd, and it's, it's the best it's ever been, and I swear this time I'm not rewriting it. And Ever Upward, that, a big reason why that one took so long to come out is because of the very hard hit that it got through Rebecca's Sledgehammer. And but at the same
Editors
time,
have a habit of doing that.
oh yeah, but at the same time, everything that they do makes it so much better. And I have Jerry Ann Geller as my story editor. The 2 of us have really kind of hashed out this whole world, and I have a handful of people that are anxious to read what what comes next. So I would say that is my team. Michelle, Bryan, who is your team? This is your time to give a really good shout out.
Well, I have the same as you. I have Jeff,
Yep.
of course, and Rebecca J. Cox and Molly. They're amazing to work with. They all are. Then I have a few really close people that are not afraid to tell me what is wrong with my book and to change it. Michelle being one. Michelle
Yep.
Lynn.
When she says that, it's usually her coming to me and saying, Michelle, tell me what's wrong with this scene. And me saying, Michelle, stop doubting yourself. This scene is perfect.
I have a close friend named Misty Stitt, who we both know.
She's amazing.
She is an amazing lady. She never tires of helping us in any way. I have another and this is all people that I've met through online and through groups. Lillian, she is amazing when she does our reviews. She's
great.
Yeah, she is great. So I have a few close ones. There are more, and I'm sure I'm forgetting them, but a shout out to those people for sure, because they are amazing.
Awesome. Michelle, Lynn?
Too many people. Well, my Melissa Craven is my editor. And
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
and
wow.
she is absolutely phenomenal.
Isn't she here?
No,
this
she
weekend?
couldn't
I
come.
thought she was going to be.
No,
Okay.
I really wish she was
Yeah.
here, but she couldn't come, and she wishes she was here. But Melissa is absolutely incredible, and sometimes I hate her. In case she hears this,
Right.
but most of the time I love her, and she's my editor. She's my good friend. She's a writing partner as well, and we also both work for Young Adult Book Central, the website.
Right.
So she's great. Well, other than Melissa, I have had the pleasure of working with some amazing cover designers. We had Anne-Marie McMillan, who did our Prophecy of Darkness, mine and Michelle's shared series, and it was absolutely incredible. She took a sketch that was drawn by Linda Higgins, who's very talented sketch artist, and she turned it into a graphic that she could then make a cover with, and she was great. for my new series, Dacre Bernardo at Covers by Coombs has just outdone herself. If this series does well, it is because of those covers. And there's all the advanced readers. I have a fantastic team of advanced readers, and they go above and beyond. I send them one of my books to read, and within 2 weeks, they'll all read it without question, and it's just amazing. And of course, the community around me. Michelle and I are part of a great group of female authors, and who we have a group that just is there to support each other and to cheer each other on. And there's so many groups out there like that, and which is great. Why this podcast is great, because like George says, you hear so much of the negativity, but these teams of people are there to support each other.
Exactly. So the main event that that we're going to be focusing on is your collaboration together, and everything positive that has resulted from that. Which, from what I understand, it's been nothing but positive. So with that in mind, tell us about what it was that really got you guys together working on a project. Like, whose idea was it to actually pull the trigger on that, and what was it like working with each other, being literally 2 countries apart? Michelle Bryan is in Canada, and Michelle Lynn is down in Florida.
I'm in Ohio now.
Ohio, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I think it started from a conversation about fantasy books.
It was. Yeah. I remember it was my idea to team up, because I approached Michelle carefully. I mean, I've known Michelle for a number of years, but asking someone to write a book with you is like asking them on a date. And so you're very nervous, and so I remember approaching her being like, "Have you ever thought about co-writing?" And when she seemed open to it, I was like, "Do you want to do that with me?"
Nice.
Since she had already said, yeah, co-writing would be fun, she really couldn't back out.
Yeah.
I had her trapped.
Right. It was basically like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I think
not with you.
I think my response was, I can't write as fast as you.
I mean, that's sort of, workhorse mentality, which I am absolutely flabbergasted by. That would definitely be something that would encourage you to just keep on.
She definitely, this was the fastest I've ever written my whole life.
Yeah.
Because I felt the pressure. I felt the pressure of Michelle Lynn. Mm-hmm. I needed to keep up with this lady who could write a chapter a day.
Right. Have you written it yet? Did you guys set deadlines for each other, or was it just a matter of Michelle Lynn sprinting down from the starting point?
Well, we came up with an outline, and we did. I've never been an outliner. I've always been a pantser. Like, I will write an outline, and then I will never look at it again and completely forget it exists. So just a waste of time for me. But we made an outline, and it was a chapter by chapter outline, and decided who wanted to write what chapters.
Through many hours of Skype, I might add.
Many hours of Skype, because you get off topic constantly.
Yeah.
May I suggest for the future, Zoom is a better program than Skype, really? And I'm not just saying that because I use them. Actually, I am saying that because I use it, because because one of the great things that they do is they record the whole conversation.
Oh, nice.
And so you'll have that as a really good either reference tool or blackmailing.
We need a program that can sense when you get off track, and then be like, get back to work. Stop talking about useless stuff.
Send like a little buzz, on your seat, and just like, come on,
electrocution.
Right.
Stop talking about the movie you watched last night.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we assigned each other chapters and who wanted to write, because we have like 3 or 4 points of view in this book, in the first one, and so we assigned who wanted to write each chapter. And so basically, some of the chapters you could write without the ones before being written, but most of them you couldn't. So we would prod each other along by knowing that the other person was waiting for our chapter to move along.
Awesome.
And by that she means she would prod me along.
Yeah.
Are you done yet? Okay, I need to get started.
It helped that the first book released on a deadline. We had a deadline for the first book because it was going into a box set, and so it helped that we could be like, okay, we have to get this done. And the third book we did on a deadline too. The second one we sort of had a deadline, but we were so far ahead on that one it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But the third one we really had to struggle to get it by the deadline.
Yeah.
But the deadlines help. They also create a lot of stress, but they help.
Yeah. So do you remember the word count that you had for that first book?
About 70,000, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And how long did it take for you guys to get it all, finished from like conception to completion?
Well, conception, we came up with the book and we started coming up with ideas about 8 months before we started writing it.
Oh, wow.
Because Michelle had to finish another book before we started it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but you guys were using that time to just kind of like, okay, while you're working on that, let's go ahead and just brainstorm so that
we
way
were creating our world.
Right. So that way, once the time came to actually start writing it, you can just jump right in.
Yeah, we could just jump right into outlining because we already had the entire world created. So it was great.
Nice.
I think it took us 6 weeks from start to finish. Once we started, because there was a lot of start and stop because we were waiting for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it took us about 6 weeks.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yes, because I was trying to get the third New Bloods finished by that time. Yeah.
So you were talking about a box set. Now, let's go ahead and acquaint our listeners with the box set setup.
Okay.
So tell us about, you guys have the experience with that, so.
It was quite an experience. I mean,
it was a good experience.
It was a good experience. Yes, you got to meet a lot of other authors and see how they wrote and things like that. And
basically, what these box sets are is that authors are coming together to put their books together into one volume. So to reach more readers that aren't their typical readers.
Wider audience.
There's usually a genre, a shared genre, and ours was fantasy. The box set was called Fire and Fantasy. Had a gorgeous cover. We had, because we were coming together, we had lots of marketing funds and stuff like that. And it's a way for indies to be able to compete with the traditional publibers who have the advertising funds to put behind books. So it's
just like a very much like a stronger together type of atmosphere.
Yeah, it's great. And it's actually one of the things in the indie community that hasn't been great is that a lot of the negativity has been surrounding these box sets, the controversy, and people are, don't get into box sets and all this stuff. But really, at the heart of it, whatever you believe about anybody who's running the sets or the tactics they're using or whatever, at the heart of it, it's people, coming together for a common goal. They're pooling their resources, lifting each other up as they climb, and, because you've got experienced writers with inexperienced writers, and experienced marketers with inexperienced marketers. Everybody's learning from each other, and it's really a great experience.
And also one thing to also keep in mind is that when these box sets and everything come together and are going out, one of the more negative stereotypes about these types of box sets is, these people are just buying their way onto the bestseller list, and that's really not the case. I mean, yes, you guys
they're
are
working their butts off.
There's some there is money invested in everything when it comes to like marketing funds and everything.
But traditional publishers have been buying their way on the list for.
Thank you.
The list existed.
Thank you. That's something that happens so many times.
It used to be that traditional publishers, in order to get on the list, they would buy all the books. Like they wouldn't, it wasn't.
And they would use them for promotional books, like nonfiction books for people that are going on tours, presidential candidates or whatever.
As the lists change and rebel against indies, they the New York Times list, for example, will curate off indies a lot of the time. And the other lists are consolidating they're not doing just Kindle lists anymore because those are indie friendly. So they're doing Kindle and paperback because traditionals are selling paperbacks. And so as they're making it harder and harder, it's, you got to find a way to level the playing field. It's not taking advantage. It's not buying your way onto anything. It's working your butt off
It was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was. So
And it's not only that, but also the fact that it's not like you're just bringing in any ordinary, piece of work, or like any ordinary, author or anything. Like there is some serious curating going along with the best with those box sets.
We were with some amazing authors in our box set. It was great.
Do you remember some of the names?
Well, we met. Actually, we've been meeting some of them. Like yesterday, we met Alicia Rades, and she was so sweet in person. And it's fun because she actually was the manager of our box set.
Okay.
So she walked up to our table and she said, "Oh, I was in a box set with you guys."
Yeah. So it's great. So you get to meet a lot of people like that.
Do you know if she got the same like letters and everything from that box set that you guys did, or
yes,
was
she did, yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. When I say letters, I'm talking about this was a USA Today
Yes.
bestseller. So like how far did that get up on the charts?
Ours actually hit pretty high. We were in the 80s, something
That's
like that.
awesome.
81 maybe. Yeah, something around that, I think.
So you top 100 USA Today bestselling author.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Our set did really well. We were very lucky. We had a gorgeous cover.
Yeah.
And our cover sold it, and we had a team of people that worked really hard. Our team on Fire and Fantasy was incredible.
Yeah.
They were.
That is so cool. And I mean, this, like I said before, like these types of stories they represent the best in indie writers, because you guys, you came together from, different areas, found yourselves in, like within a cesspool of negativity, were able to get that positive feedback for each other. We're able to, stir that into a friendship, a collaboration, a partnership, and now, look at you
we
guys.
talk every day.
Yeah, we're not writing together anymore. Our series is done, but we still talk every single day.
So what is the series? Tell us about that. Who came up with that? Who came up with that particular series?
Well, that was both of us. We decided that we wanted to do fantasy, like straight up fantasy, not, sci-fi or anything like that. And we wanted there to be magic. We were like, neither of us has gotten to write. I mean, she's written with a little bit of magic, but it was different. So we're like, we just want pure magic. And so we just started with what if questions. What if the world doesn't have their magic? Okay, so why don't they have their magic? If they once had magic, where did it go? Mm-hmm. And what happens to the world if they don't have their magic? And we have in ours, in Prophecy of Darkness, we've created 2 kingdoms. One has magic, and one lost their magic in a war 20 years before.
Right.
It was drained from the land. Their kingdom is dying, and that's where all of our main characters come from. The kingdom that is dying. We have 4 main characters. Tristan is the prince, Marissa is the princess, and then we have Davian, who's everybody's favorite character.
Yeah.
He's an orphan boy who was taken in by the king, so he's been raised kind of with the prince and princess, but he has no family. And then we have the daughter of a man who betrayed the kingdom, and together they have to go and they have to find the legendary Tri-Guard, which are 3 keepers of the magic. Who have been in hiding since the day the prince was born, because the prince was born on the day that the magic was taken from the land, and so they have to find them in order to find a way to reclaim their magic in time before the other kingdom swarms their borders.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just so much fun just sitting there and tossing ideas back and forth, and we made it so much better that way.
Yeah.
Because we did have an outline, like Michelle said, but then we get somewhere and I'm like, oh, but what if we do this instead of this? And she's like, oh, that's great. And then we get a little further. Oh, well, why don't we do this instead of this? I love it. Mm-hmm. So it was just so much encouragement, and it was fun. It was the most fun I've ever had. Yeah.
Awesome. So
I'd suggest it to anyone.
So so just to make sure the audience is fully aware of it, the series is called, what was it again?
Legends of the Tri-Guard, but the first book is called Prophecy of Darkness.
Prophecy of Darkness. Okay. Guys, you need to pay attention to the authors community, because it's not just pettiness. It's not just, embarrassing stories about trademarks. It's not, it's not about, authors sending their fan bases to bring down another author. There is true magic, really, to basically just borrow from you guys. There is true magic when it comes to when authors find themselves, when they work together, when they support each other, and we're seeing that in spades here at PennCon.
So much.
And so huge thanks and a big shout out to Rick and Amy Miles for putting PennCon together in the first place and letting us all basically find each other in this wonderful central hub of creativity.
Yeah, there's been nothing but positivity here, and everybody is so wonderful. It's it's amazing, really.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, this particular event, this is where Michelle Lynn and Michelle Bryan are meeting each other in person for the first time, and this is after working with each other for how many years now?
It's been about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
But we've known each other about 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this. It's incredible. I mean, this is what writing is all about. This is what this show really is all about. It really shows that you are not alone, and that's what this particular story really reflects, and that's what I hope continues to stay in people's heads. So, like I said, definitely keep an eye out for the writing community. It's really something special. Don't believe every negative story you hear. Definitely do your research about it and everything. I mean, some people, some of those stories may turn out to be true, but we're not all like that. So I want to thank both Michelle Lynn and Michelle Bryan for spending some time out of this very early Saturday morning to speak with us, to share their story with you, and to just remind you about what greatness a writing community can create. So definitely keep that in mind with your own projects, your own excursions, and just don't quit. When it comes to this, do not let yourself fall victim to that sort of negativity. You got to push through it. You got to find that hook that's going to keep you going. They definitely did. They still do to this day, and it's just an amazing success story. So I wish both of you the very best. I consider you guys very, very good friends, and I'm looking forward to hearing even more greatness from you guys. So for Michelle Lynn and Michelle Bryan, this is George Soroy saying to you, ever upward.